Good afternoon. My name is Eli Howes. Can you please tell me your name?
My name is Humaira Hassan, and
And
you
what
can
shall I call
call
you?
me Huma.
Okay, Huma.
Huma.
In this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about what you do. Do you work or are you a student?
I'm currently working as a pharmacy assistant at Shoppers Drug Mart.
What do you like about your work?
I do love helping people, like especially the people who are coming to the pharmacy sick and have like a lot of questions in their mind. So I do help them by responding to their questions, and I also like the different aspects of work. Like we do go from one station to the other station. Like as an assistant, we start working from station number one, which is drop off. So the person would drop off, the patient would drop off their RXs, and then we would enter their data, asking them about their allergy information as well as their insurance information and solving any issues there. Then it goes to the filling station. So sometimes I get to work there as well and
Okay.
in different places.
And is there anything you would like to change about your work?
Um, I don't think that I would really like to change anything. It's pretty interesting with having a great team working with us who is very helpful. So yeah, pretty happy with the work right now.
Hmm. Let's move on. Let's talk about names. Now, does your name have a special meaning?
Yes, actually, it's an Arabic name,
Hmm.
and Humera comes from Huma.
Hmm.
Huma means color red, and there's another meaning which is bird. People usually relate it to the bird, the phoenix.
Mhm.
So yes.
Hmm. And how or what do people think about when they choose names for their children?
They usually would like to give names to their children, especially from their holy book, looking at the mean names that have really good meaning. Because in our country, people think that the name can actually affect person's future life and their luck, and so they would always think of give them like a nice name with a nice meaning.
So, does anyone in your family have the same name as you?
No, I'm the only one with this name in my
Mm,
family.
mm. Let's move on. Let's talk about the weather. Now, do you prefer hot or cold weather?
I do like both the weathers. It depends, but the country where I come from, the weather is like hot year round most of the time, like raining and temperatures going up to 40 degrees Celsius.
Mm,
So here in Canada, I don't usually find that temperature. It's pretty cold.
mm,
So I love when it's summer here.
mm. And do you
So
prefer dry or wet weather?
I love dry weather. I don't like raining at all because I'm an outgoing person.
Mm,
So in the morning when I see sunshine, I just go out and do run other activities, gardening and other stuff.
mm. And do you have the habit of checking the weather forecast?
Oh, I do. I keep an eye on the news, sorry, all the time, and especially the weather because I run my daily activities looking at the weather most of the time.
Mm. Okay, now I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say and you can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Sure.
All right, remember you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Yeah, sure. So one of the best, one not just one of the song, actually, few of the songs that I really enjoy today as well. Those songs are from my childhood. I would say, like when I was a teenager, and I watched an Indian movie, and that was a very popular movie. It was a blockbuster later. Its title was Dil Wale Dulhania Le Jayenge. That means in English, the groom will take the bride away. So the songs were became very popular, and I totally enjoyed that. Those songs were um, like the music was good and the singer were really good. Um, it's not just in Indian movies, usually like there are 4 or 5 songs in a movie because the length of the movie is like 3 hours. So so there are so many songs. So those songs always remind me of like when I watched the movie and I listened to the songs at that time, I started imagining of what my uh, future partner would be like. I wanted to have like the same partner as I watched in the movie and the songs he was singing. Like I want to have like this kind of partner. He sings so well and he's so kind and everything. So that was pretty interesting at that time. But the music was so nice, so cool. So I still remember the songs, and it's still sometimes I like to play on my cell phone and my laptop while I'm doing my work. So those songs, like very melodious songs, and I sometimes I play them. And my kids also listen to the songs, and they also enjoy it. Though they do not understand fully what does that mean because they are not exposed to our language much. But they do really enjoy the music and everything.
Thank you. And so do you still listen to these songs regularly now?
Not quite often, but whenever I listen to Urdu songs, I do like to listen those songs from the past. I'm more into listening English songs now
Right.
because it's been a while I've been in Canada.
And probably quite good as well for your English. So you get to listen to music and learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So we've been discussing a song that you like, and I'd like to discuss with you one or two more general questions related to this. So let's consider, first of all, the reaction that people have to music. So you listened to this music and you started to imagine the future and your future love life. How do you think music can change people's emotions?
So I would say like people like to most of the time listen to that kind of music that relates to their personal life and the situations they are going through because it helps. Uh, it's kind of like what should I say? Help them to know like about their thinking, their sometimes emotions they cannot really express to others. So I think just by listening to that music or the songs, they could actually can relieve themselves if they are stressed. They listen to the song, it just helps them bring some relief.
Mm,
Like yeah, like sometimes when I'm too stressed about work and everything's on my mind, I would sometimes listen to light music, and that will give me some relief.
mm.
Um,
And do you think everybody has the same reaction to the same types of music?
Not really. I think everyone, I don't believe that everyone can have the same reaction, but that's my general thinking that this is what it might do to the people when they listen to any songs. Because personally, I feel like it just expresses my emotions, my feelings,
Mm.
and it helps me relax when I'm too stressed due to work or other situations going on around.
Yes. And you mentioned as well sometimes the lyrics can change the way that somebody relates to a song. Why is that?
Uh, sorry, lyrics actually they do play a part.
Mm,
Um, I would say like sometimes like I'm listening to English songs and I do like the music and then I check what the lyrics. Sometimes it's hard to understand some words, so I look at the lyrics of the song, and I realize like this is what I have been thinking. It's not just the music, that's not the tone, but also the lyrics that really appeal to me and that relates to my life, relates to what I'm thinking right now, relate to what I'm going through the right now.
Mm.
And yeah, that's why I like to listen to music. I'm a music lover. So
Now let's move on. Let's talk a bit about playing music. Do you think that all children should have music lessons at school?
I think they should have music lessons at school because it helps them become creative. Because when it comes to art and music and drama, all these subjects, I think they make kids really creative, think outside the box, come up with their own ideas, come up with their own tune. So it's kind of like very helpful for kids to make them creative.
Mm.
It's I think if a person is very creative, they can get more opportunities in life, more doors open for them.
Yes. But some people also say that, well, we shouldn't put creative subjects in the curriculum because it takes time away from science and maths and other subjects that could be directly related to young people's career and advance the economy. What do you think about that?
I do agree to it. A bit, uh, because what I see normally, like in my kids' studies when they're studying, and if I look at their schedule, their timetable, I see most of the time they are spending learning math, English, and science. And music is like once a week or twice a week. They are not putting much focus on music, yes, but it's like as a subject on the side
Mm.
they need to do learn and help it helps them become creative, come up with different ideas. Science and technology, yeah, we cannot ignore that uh, those subjects at all because they are very helpful. They help grow the economy and they make the country progress faster because in other fields such as medicine, agriculture, information technology, in order to make advancements, in order to find the cure for the diseases and to grow more crops and successfully, yeah, we must need to equip ourselves with those subjects,
Mm.
but we cannot really ignore the subjects like music, dance, and drama. They help kids become creative.
Thank you very much. That is the end of the speaking test. What a wonderful speaking test.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Hard questions.
Right. Well, so you what you might find actually in the IELTS speaking test is in part three you're going to get the hard questions. So basically, examiners have a bit of choice over whether they think you're below band seven and they ask you certain questions, or they think you're above band seven and they ask you harder questions because they want to really test how good your level is. Now you're
Right.
way beyond band seven, so you're going to get the harder questions.
Oh my god. That's not good. I'm more nervous now.
Well, yeah,
Because
well, I mean,
I
I say the harder questions, but questions like the ones that I asked you, slightly more abstract.
that's right. Like, oh my God, I couldn't come up with many of the ideas like right away. I had to think. So, yeah,
But that's
especially
fine.
music is tough subject.
Yeah, but that's also totally fine. If you have time to think, like if you have to pause to think, the examiner will notice that, but they're going to be saying to themselves, is this person hesitating because they don't know the language, or is this person hesitating because they don't know the ideas? And if it's you don't know the language, then yes, that lowers your score. But in your case, you were just hesitating because you're being asked questions you've maybe never thought of before, and you need
That's
time
right.
to work out what your opinion is, and you won't
Mhm.
lose marks for that. So that's totally fine. But what you did do, which is great, is you explored your answers. You gave examples. You elaborated on why you think one way, but then you also entertain the other way. So, you talked all about why music is good, and I said, wait a second, but what about all the other subjects? And you went, okay, well, yeah, that's true. The other subjects are also important because things like IT can advance the economy and lead to the cure for diseases. So, what was nice is I could see that you could discuss a topic from several angles. So you did do that very well. A quick note
Thank you.
in part three, um, just because you're at a very high level, one thing that you're going to have to try and do to avoid is to talk about yourself too much. You did do a little bit too much of that in part three, and and that is something that could, just because you're at a very high level, it could lower your score slightly
Right.
for lexical resource. So there are just a few too many personal answers. Um, what I would recommend you do is you could use yourself as an example, but I would even suggest just talk in more abstract terms about your opinions. So
Right.
you can talk about how I think that children should learn music at school because it helps them to think outside the box, and you don't try and talk too much about your children, or you don't talk about when you were a child, but you talk about children in general. It's a subtle difference, but it can affect your score at your level, at a very high level.
Right. Thank you for this advice. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, just yeah.
Yeah.
I love that
One
you.
thing I was
Uh-huh.
Sorry, one thing I was afraid about if I'm speaking for at least 2 minutes or no. That was my biggest worry, like coming up with ideas really quick and then speaking for at least for up to 2 minutes.
Right,
That was the
but you did
biggest
that
thing.
easily.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, it sounded like to me like you could talk for 5 minutes on that topic.
Oh, maybe. I've been asking my kids to ask me different questions.
Great,
And they were like, Mom, you're not speaking like for at least 2 minutes. I was like, I have to think of ideas.
great to have your children to practice with. When you're practicing with your children, get them to ask you why, because I also
Yeah, they
find them to
mostly ask
often
my
ask that
questions.
question. Then you can practice elaborating and explaining your reasons.
Right. Yeah, they mostly ask me like why questions, tough questions.
And then even once you give them the answer, or once you give your children the answer, then ask them to ask you why on top of that. So then you're having to kind of constantly justify all of your ideas. That will help you for part three.
Right. Yeah, sure. I will try to do that with them.
Yes. And one last thing, just for part two, if you do find yourself running out of things to say, just to start to think about the future. So
Right.
as soon as you do that, there's so many more things you can say. Like in the future, I don't think I'll spend so much time listening to this music because, like I said, I listen to a lot more English music, and my children don't really like any of this music anyway. However, I do think I'll listen to it more when I go back to visit my family because it's a thing that we do regularly. We sit and we listen to this kind of music. So, do you see, as soon as you talk about the future, there's so many more things that you can talk about.
Yeah, we can basically reflect on what we think, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
present times and also in future.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good advice. Actually, I'm noting down everything
Yeah. Well,
so I
don't worry
don't
about
forget.
taking notes because I'll send you this video immediately after this speaking test,
Oh,
and
sounds
then
great. Yeah.
what I'll do is I'll for YouTube I'll edit it and I'll put some of the nice vocabulary up at the top. Um,
Oh, sure. Oh, this is going to go on YouTube.
yes, yeah, this is a YouTube
Oh
speaking
my
test.
God. Because I myself is a YouTuber, and a pretty good number of subscribers still growing, and oh my God, they watch me. I'm doing an IELTS test,
Yeah,
but that's fine. That's
I,
okay. I don't know how did I do, but
you did very well. You did
hopefully
very well.
they don't
And
think that I did bad.
one last thing, would you like the people who watch this video to also have a look at your YouTube channel? Do you want to say what
Yeah,
your
sure,
channel
why
is?
not?
Huh?
Yeah, sure.
So what is your
Yes,
channel?
yes. My channel is Cooking and Baking Around the Globe. Actually, I was watching one of your videos on YouTube and I left my comments there as well. That these videos are really a blessing. And then you told me to join, you put a link there to join the speaking test, and that's how I came here
Right.
to do my speaking test with you. If you remember, I don't know. You see a lot of people every day, so
I
I
do
don't
see a
think
lot
you.
of comments, but I do quite like when I see like cooking and baking in the channel name because then I like to see
Yeah,
what kind of things people are cooking and baking. But yeah, great.
yeah, that's my channel. Yeah, I actually do cultural cooking and baking stuff here. So I basically have to start with researching first because it every time I cook it, the dish belongs to a certain culture or a country. So I have to make sure that my research is thorough before I publish the video
Yes, right. And what language do you present your information in? In English or in Arabic?
in English.
In English.
I
Right.
use English, yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
so
I have to
great.
do a lot of practice.
Yeah. So if
It's not
people
easy.
are keen on baking, cooking, and culture through food, and they want to learn English, they should definitely watch your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I believe so. Like they should watch it because I do a lot of practice. I do thorough research and I do try my best to edit it in a way that it entertains people, educate people, and they also, enjoy the cooking and baking.
Right. Okay, wonderful. What I'll do is I'll put a link to your YouTube channel below this video, just so
That
people
would be
can just
great. So helpful, Eli. You
yeah.
are wonderful.
Well, also, thank you for you for coming and doing this very high level speaking test, because a lot of people love watching these tests because they love to see your performance, the vocabulary you use, and then they like to hear the feedback that you get. And so, one piece of feedback I would love to give you is that you have amazing pronunciation, just brilliant.
Thank you. Thanks to YouTube. Like before, while I'm doing research and writing my script, I check every single word if I'm pronouncing it right or wrong because it just affect my channel.
Sure. And you know what? But it's not even just the word pronunciation. You've got great sentence stress. So things like I do love, just like the way you emphasized I do, like I do love, and I don't think there's anything, like drawing out certain words. I don't think there's anything like basically throughout the entire test. There were loads of moments. I've written a lot of them down where your pronunciation was very, very good, and you were emphasizing words in the sentence to communicate your ideas, which is the kind of thing that gets you those really high scores for pronunciation.
Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully I do the same way I did here on my test as well.
Oh, I really hope so. One thing
Yeah.
I would like to point out is because okay, another thing is you've got amazing vocabulary. It's clear. You use idiomatic vocabulary, but you use it totally appropriately. So you've got things like think outside the box, which is just the perfect phrase
Mhm.
to use when you're talking about children being creative and doing art classes or playing music and improvising. They're thinking outside the box. Absolutely brilliant. Um, you also said, oh yeah, have to have a subject on the side. So again, on the side is an idiomatic phrase. Absolutely amazing. You did say um, an outgoing person. You said you're an outgoing person to talk about that you like to go outdoors a lot. But outgoing
That's right.
is a bit of a false friend. Outgoing means bubbly and enjoys spending time with people and expressing your emotions. Outgoing
Right.
doesn't mean to spend time outdoors.
Okay. Yeah, that's good information.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. So just be careful. I would just say I love to spend time outdoors.
Outdoors.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
I'm really into nature. Or one thing that I love to do is to go on long walks in the wilderness or in the wild or in nature. But yeah,
Right.
outgoing refers to your personality in terms of getting on with people and enjoying spending
Got
time.
it. Thank you for this feedback. Yeah. If there are any other mistakes I made, please let me know so I can improve on those
Well,
before I
okay,
go for.
yeah. So let's maybe go through it all. So part one, um, all positive things like that I do love, very nice pronunciation, different aspects of work, very nice phrase, different aspects of work. Your answers are very natural, and you've got a great mannerism, really nice rapport with the examiner. Keep that up. That's great. You've got the you also use the phrase "to keep an eye on." I can't really remember the sentence, but great phrase. Can you remember? Oh, keep an eye on the news. That's what you said about the
News,
weather.
yes.
You keep an eye on the news and the weather. Brilliant. Absolutely
Yeah.
great. Perfect idiom for that context. In part two, I sometimes noticed you use the wrong not the wrong pronoun a little bit for describing the songs. So you're talking about the songs and they're the subject of your talk, but you kept on referring to them as like those songs and that song rather than like these songs and
Okay.
this song. So I would pay attention to that just because that is the subject of your talk. So
Mm.
to refer to them as those songs instead of these songs sounded a little bit strange. You also said the length is 3 hour, but you would need an S at the end because 3 hours. Just a small
Three
mistake.
hours. Okay.
You said very melody song, but melody is the noun. The adjective is um,
Melodious.
melodious. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't really say a very melodious song. I would say this song has a wonderful melody. So I would still use the noun form um, or a very catchy melody. I would look for another adjective to describe the melody. Yes, you could say
Okay.
melodious song or melodious song, but I think to have an adjective to describe the melody sounds more natural. Um, and then you were talking about your children. You said they don't understand what does it mean. Now this is just a small mistake, but this is they kind of reported speech, so it should be they don't understand what it means. We need to get rid of
What?
the auxiliary verb does.
Okay.
Yeah. I really like that you had the phrase to be into, like to be into music. Very nice. Again, idiomatic and used perfectly. Um, you also said um, things like going through. I can't remember the rest of the phrase. I just kept going
Rapid.
through.
I repeated it.
No, no,
Did I
no.
repeat?
Just that you used it, that I thought was very good. You used it appropriately, but I can't remember exactly what it was. And a little mistake. You said must need, but we don't really put must and need. We don't put kind of modal type verbs together. You just say I need or must. But in the phrase that you used, we wouldn't put must need together. So have a look at that part of the video. It's in part three, and just
Part three. Okay, sure.
mhm. And we also had very nice that you were talking about the different fields of study. Very nice. And phrases like we can't ignore. Very nice as well. So it's a really, really good speaking test. And my guess is on Sunday, you're going to get a very high score.
Hopefully, I do just pray for me because one thing that's so very challenging is to have the eye contact with a real examiner,
Right.
and then think of ideas and vocabulary and organizing
Mm.
and correct grammar.
Some people
So
say the
many.
best thing is to think of the examiner like a teacher that you know well.
Okay,
Because ultimately,
and then
like, examiners are usually people that have been teaching for 10, 15 years, and then they become examiners. So just think of them
right,
as a teacher that you've had in a class or someone that
right,
you kind of respect and you like, but you've got a good relationship with.
right. Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I change my thinking and think of the examiner as a teacher or like a friend I'm talking to, I think that would everything would come more naturally.
Yeah, or even just think of them as being me. Your mannerism and your rapport with me in this test was spot on. It was perfect.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks to your videos and before coming online with you for this speaking test, I was actually watching some IELTS actual test videos and your videos on tips also.
Wonderful.
My
So,
writing has improved a lot, like vocabulary and also like different types of essays that you taught us in your course is amazing. Like I
oh,
do write
that's
every
wonderful
day.
to hear.
I have so many notes here. I took pictures of every slide that was showing, and whenever I write, I take like some information from here and there, and then I try to write an essay, and then I do search online as well. And so, what are the ideas? Like last time, I was on doing an online practice test, writing task two, and the question was like, why people are still going hungry when there's advancement in agriculture and everything. I was like,
Good question.
I have no clues about it, what to write. And then I searched online, and okay, so these are actually the causes why people are going hungry. Because sometimes in tasks two, questions are like out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
So
I've just seen our chat is about to end, but thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate that.
thank you very much, Lab, for your all your help. Thank you. I really appreciate it.